Hey, good morning. This is Travis Bull Johnson, your candidate for Minnesota's 7th Congressional District. I'm coming from you live from the Minnesota Libertarian Party annual convention. I'm up here mostly to let people know about my campaign, see what kind of support we can get from other like liberty-minded people, and so we can try to bring this campaign on to the next level. We had a great fundraiser this past month. Part of what's going to be going on the next day or two is going to be starting to film a commercial that we hope to have ready by the end of May. We have Koala Media helping us with that. I'm expecting a great result. One of the things I want to talk about today is yesterday, two things happened in Congress that involved Michelle Fischbach. The first one is she submitted a bill that was just virtue signaling. That's all it was. I mean, the bill basically stated that the government couldn't do anything to reduce drilling, couldn't do anything could not reduce ethanol production or anything like that until January 2023, with the voice of we're doing this to lower gas prices. Guess what? Nothing she had in that bill would lower gas prices in the immediate or near future. And then you had a sunset date of right after the election. I mean, this was nothing more than so she can go out there and campaign saying, we're trying to help you on with your gas prices, but nothing in there would have made a difference. If she was serious about doing something about gas prices, she would have put in there something about suspending the federal fuel tax. She would have put something in there about ending the war in Yemen, Saudi Arabia and Yemen, unless Saudi Arabia agreed to produce more fuel. I mean, that's one of the things that are driving our higher prices right now is OPEC, right after the election, decided to cut production. So, I mean, there's things in there that she could have done that would have had real world effects on the price we're paying for gas. But none of that was in there. It was all just stuff that they're dog whistles, stuff to get her base fired up, but it had no substance, none at all. And you're saying this is to reduce prices or reduce fuel prices, yet you slip in something there saying you cannot reduce ethanol production, which adds to our fuel prices. I mean, why? I mean, it just, okay, so she's out here basically just wasting our frickin' time. I mean, not doing anything with that. Now, the second thing she did yesterday is there was a bill in front of Congress to legalize cannabis. She voted against that bill. I think this shows just how disconnected she is from the people in her district. And I'm going to tell you a story what happened to me yesterday. I was at the feed mill yesterday picking up a tote of cow and goat feed. There was about 5 of us in there, me, a couple of young bucks, and two older gentlemen in their 60s. And the older gentlemen, the farmers, were over here just talking about how great CBD gummies were, how excited they were about it, and people that they knew who were experimenting and growing hemp and cannabis. And it just boggles their mind. Why isn't this legal? Why do they make it so hard? This is your older white farmers. The people are the ones people are assuming would be against cannabis, and they're here shaking their head going, why isn't this legal? Why is this an issue? Yet their representative voted against it. I mean, there was only 3 Republicans who voted for the legalizing it and decriminalization of it yesterday, and two Democrats who voted against it. It was enough that it passed, but it's just so frustrating that Michelle Fischbach refuses to come into the present and insist on living in the past. Over the next 10 years, the need for ethanol is going to shrink drastically. The more they push these electric cars, the less gas is going to be provided, so the less ethanol is going to be required. That's science. That's what's going to happen. I mean, nothing you can do to change that. So why is she doing things that will prevent us from making this change gradually? I mean, they're gonna put this off, and then at the last moment, they're going to come up here, and all of a sudden the demand's going to go down, the market's going to drop, and what are you going to and what can we do about it? We don't have any other infrastructure put in place or anything like that to make a transition to hemp or anything like that. It's going to force farmers into doing other crops that they're already producing, which is going to drive the prices down on that and make it real hard for them to be able to make a living. We have to do what we can now to make that transition as painless as possible. That means allowing right now when gas prices are high, what this is corn prices are high, the corn stock is low. This is the prime time to start making that transition. We can make that transition now without really killing our farmers on the price of corn. I mean, because there is already such a shortfall, a little bit more as you reduce ethanol production won't hurt. I mean, they're still going to be able to make a good living, and we can gradually transfer into some of these other crops like hemp. If we don't start doing it now, it's gonna hurt, guys. It's gonna hurt badly when it does happen, and chances are it's going to. I mean, you just have to look at how things are going. So it just frustrates me that they insist on living in the past and refuse to come up with solutions for the future. What worked in the past isn't going to work tomorrow. I mean, it just won't. I've got a friend of mine who's actually in the industry, gone over at Frozen North Hemp, and he actually talked to Michelle Fishbach at one of the booths he was working at about legalizing this, and she's just flat out no. She's just so adamantly against it. Yet this is something that would help her district. She's letting what her personal feelings are, what her personal desires are, affect the people of our district. And that's got to stop. I mean, we have to have somebody in there who will put the people of our district first, who will put freedom back into people's hands, let them decide what is best for them rather than the nanny state, rather than the government. I mean, that's the difference between me and anybody else running. I mean, I think you can make a better decision on what's better for you than the government can. And just about anybody else who runs has the feeling that, well, the government, while listening to me, knows what's better for you than you do. That's got to stop. I mean, we are in control here, and it's time for us to remember that. I mean, they only have the power that we allow them to have. We could take this power back at any time, but they've got so many people who just don't believe that that's possible. For lack of a better term, I mean, a good portion of America is suffering from Stockholm syndrome. We're being held captive, but we're helping them to keep us captive. We could change that. This past week, I went to a farewell for Mark, who most of y'all have heard me talk about. He's the Democratic candidate who basically withdrew from the race and has decided he's going to go over to Ukraine to help with that situation. And I told him, dude, one of the things my goal is get my foot in the door of the political system so that my other people can follow me through. Put my foot in the door and say, you know what, you can get into office without being one of the major parties. This is how you do it. Follow me through. And he just looked at me, and Mark's profession is that he's a motivational speaker. He looked at me and said, dude, if you ever do any kind of speech or talk again without saying, we need to put your foot in the door to give the power back to the people, I'm going to shoot you. And, you know, I think he had a great point there. I mean, part of my hope and my goal is we can get everybody together who wants to change the system. I could be the consensus candidate, since it's a two-person race, and we can make that difference. We can change the world, and Western Minnesota can lead the way. And it's not like in Minnesota we haven't done it before. I mean, hell, we put Jesse Ventura in the governor's mansion. So, I mean, we've shown we can think outside the box. We sent 12 out of 13 delegates to support Ron Paul in the Republican National Convention against the establishment. this is what we can do. This is what we've done before. And guys, this is what we must do again. And my name is Travis Bull Johnson. I'm your candidate for Congress in Minnesota's 7th District. Remember, independent is power. The power is in your hands. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail.